Welcome to the latest episode of Five on the Floor on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, on Android, Spotify, or the Five Reasons YouTube channel. Also, make sure you subscribe to Off the Floor. That's our Discord server, $2.99 per month. Link is right here in the description. Bypass the Apple upcharge. Click on that link, pay the $2.99. You can cancel at any time. Get access to 10 different channels on there. We call it the most heat, the place for heat information, conversation, and consternation. Check it out. It is Off the Floor. Also, check out Prize Picks. Use the code 5FIVE. Outside the state of Florida, you can play the NCAA tournament. Inside the state of Florida, you can still play everything else. So go use the code 5FIVE. Put down $5. You get $50 to play right away. Prize Picks is the official fantasy partner of the Five Reasons Sports Network. Don't blame them for the Florida thing. That's our legislature. But anyway, prizepicks.com. Use the code 5. Put down 5. Get 50 to play right away. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay, five on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frauds, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to Five on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the Five Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Well, welcome back to Five on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me, Ethan J. Skolnick on Five Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow me at Greg Sylvander. Miami Heat ended their 10-game losing streak. Jimmy Butler is coming in on Tuesday. On Monday, we'll talk a lot about Jimmy Butler on Monday and Tuesday. But we want to continue to talk about the state of the franchise as it's in with the players that it has. And we just wanted to hit on a topic. We're not going to do a lot on this, but we're starting a conversation here. Because we are in the mud with the fans. I think more so than any other outlet. We are a lot, pretty much everybody in our network but me started as a fan. You look at the Five Reasons Sports Network in general, on the Dolphin side, etc. We have the term fanalist trademarked because sort of a combination of fan and analyst, or fan and journalist. And so we're in these spaces on social media and all of that. And the point is made to me repeatedly, Greg, about how what we see on social media on a daily basis is not the average Miami Heat fan. That the average Miami Heat fan, I heard that they've renewed pretty much all of their season tickets for next year. Like they're close to 100%. They're still filling most nights. Even though the team is struggling, there seems to be enough equity built with either the casual fan or on the other end of it, the season ticket holding fan. But the social media fan, a lot of which trends younger, we've talked about that. Some of which kind of became bigger fans after the Shaq Wade era, particularly after the Big Three era, that they are very, 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 very frustrated. And so when I ask this question to you, we kind of have to look at it on the set with both subsets of fans, right? And I guess the question is this. Miami Heat leadership does not believe that overall the fan base down here will tolerate a very deep, long valley.
They're absolutely right. That's a good assumption to make.
Okay, and you look at Charlotte, which just came in, was 9 straight years out of the playoffs, right? Have never really competed for anything in a very, very long period of time. Sacramento went, 15 to 17 years without making the playoffs. And so they lighting the beam after 1 year of making the playoffs. That
not in Miami
will not tolerate that, right? At all. Okay. So I'll ask you this. How, and as we go through their history, they have not had very long valleys. Okay. They've had a couple deep ones like the 15 and 67 year, but that was 1 year after they did get to the first round. They won a championship. got swept out of the first round of the playoffs. Embarrassing performance against the Bulls, but whatever. The team kind of, they mailed it in that second that after winning the title. Won 15-67, and then the very next year under Eric Spoelstra and a rejuvenated Dwayne Wade, they made it back to the playoffs. They won, 47 games that next year. You look at 2000, after all those Knicks years, even 2000, 2001, where they got first round, lost to Charlotte, right? The year Zoe was sick, came back. They had a 2-year valley, basically, right? Had all the vets in the 2001, 2002 season, 2002, 2003, had Karan as a rookie. And then 2003 was back on the upswing after they drafted Dwayne and got Lamar and all that. You look at post Big Three. Okay, they made the finals, 14, right? Last year, LeBron leaves, had one down year, had a good year the next year, even with Bosch getting sick again, almost got to the conference finals, right? Then had the weird year where they went 11-30 and then 30-11. Then they had like 2 years that were really about Dwayne's return. It was more ceremonial than anything else, but it wasn't like a deep valley. They were just kind of a lot of mediocre. It's kind of a mediocre team that Dwayne's presence kind of overshadowed. And then Jimmy came. So like there has been no like 4, 5, 6 years like with the Red. How many years do you think that the average Heat fan would take? They couldn't take a 5-game losing streak without all losing their minds right now and saying, well, now they need to lose every game. How many years do you think they could take without totally tuning out this team?
First, I think this exemplifies how much the standards have been raised on this particular organization, and the team and the organization. Everybody should feel a bit of pride in the fact that that this is even a conversation of like, how long can they go, because there hasn't been those valleys. This is where this gets dicey though, Ethan, because I guess to the average fan, part of why the average fan continues to plug in Miami is because they're always competitive and they're always near the playoffs, and playoff basketball, playoff adjacent basketball usually will get the casual fan in enough, right? But we hear the loud minority of fans on social media and stuff like that. But also there's fans out there that have gotten a lot smarter over the years. And this is where the unprotected picks get weird for them and how they navigate this, because I personally think that they actually rebound pretty quickly through this, and they can get into the playoff mix because of the way the Eastern Conference is, the way the parity is. But let's just say they don't. You have real, like, earth-shattering, awful implications if you land the second pick in a draft, or the first pick in a draft, and the Hornets are making that selection, or the Thunder, or whoever it is making that selection. So that's the part of this that gets weird with how long can fans go. I don't know that fans, just even in this short term from now to 2028, when the Charlotte pick is conveyed, can they stomach giving away 2 lottery picks? I don't think so. So I think that there's incentive for the Heat to get better quickly, because if they had all their picks, maybe the Heat fan could get through a 3 to 4 year stretch of a rebuild where maybe there's a player drafted that you're building around. This is, back when the Big Three came together and when the Shaq team came together, this wasn't a thing where you thought through the development of drafting and kind of building incrementally year over year. Like, that wasn't the Heat style. Maybe they'll go to that eventually, but while these protected picks are out there, I don't think that they do that.
No, you're right. It's a complication, and that's why I think we need to devote like entire episodes to that as we go forward, because they're in this weird position where the fans want them to get that pick now, but the organization doesn't feel that way, because it's really not great business for them to get the pick now unless they somehow hit in the lottery, which they can't know.
Yeah.
That's the unknowable. So if you knew you were going to get Cooper Flag or get a top 4 pick,
Or Durant,
then right. Well, and the Durant thing to me is I think that's waning. Honestly, I don't see. We talked about it. I know what they offered at the deadline. I don't think they even have that much to offer now, because they don't have Jimmy's contract, and So I don't really see that happening, honestly. If there's another suitor that's seriously interested, and if that whether it's Houston or something else, and so I don't know that that's necessarily the direction they go. But when we talk about the draft pick situation, you've talked about this. You just add the 2 picks. Is that going to make, like, you had your pick and Golden State's pick, which has gotten worse now as they go forward? Is that going to be enough to really turn this thing around, so that you don't end up with giving away an unprotected lottery pick next year, a high lottery pick potentially? That's a terrible situation to be in. I want to make one other point on the Valley here for fans, because again, so much of this is social media, which didn't exist way back. If I was to say to you, top of your head, give me the 3, since the Heat became a force, okay, sort of in '06, right? I will start with '05, '06, and then going forward, because those teams were, the late '90s teams were really good teams, but they ultimately underachieved in the postseason. So if you would say from '06 or when they started winning titles, give me the 3 other franchises that in your view have been most relevant.
Most relevant. Wow, I didn't know where you were going with this. Um, since then, most relevant would be
Give me
the
4. Give me 4.
Lakers, the
Okay.
Spurs.
Okay. Those are 2 of the ones I was going to say.
Um, Unfortunately, I'd have to say the Warriors and Cavaliers.
Okay, you said Cavaliers. I was going to say Lakers, Celtics, Spurs, Warriors.
Okay.
But you could say the Cavs, but the Cavs make this point too. All of those teams have had deeper, not maybe deeper, but have longer down periods in the midst of that success than the Heat have.
Yep.
I went through it today. I mean, the Spurs are in an extended valley right now. This is a team that, right? Like, this was
It's
a
a
team
lot
that,
of hope on Wemby, and I think he'll get there. And Stephon Castle is amazing. So they got
right,
the building blocks, but let's not act like it's translating into wins yet. It's not.
right, and it hasn't. They've been in a valley for a period of time. The Celtics had a lot of down years. The Lakers, even with Kobe there, had some bad years. Okay. And the Warriors, like, yes, we're gonna go from this drafting of Steph, which, by the way, when they drafted Steph, and then he had the ankle injuries, there was some losing there too. Prior to that, there was a lot of losing for the Warriors over the years. I think I think the point needs to be made. I don't want to sit here and call fans spoiled. That's not really where I'm trying to go with this. But I think there has to be some recognition of the fact that this organization has not put you in extended mediocrity. We can look at this last 3 years. There's a finals appearance mixed in there. We can say, well, that's all because of Jimmy. Whatever you want to say about it, they still got to the finals. It didn't negate the fact that that was a trying regular season also. I don't like where they're at. I don't like you being in the middle to lower middle. It's a terrible place to be. Since the All-Star break, they've been worse than that, obviously, or since the trade deadline. But it's not because they tried to compete early in the year. They always try to compete at the beginning of the year. They never get high up enough in the lottery, right? Because they don't
Except maybe this
go
year.
that. Maybe we'll see. But I guess my overall point of it is that they don't, as an organization, they don't believe in going, like, through an extended down period.
No.
Their primary owner, although Mickey's not running the day-to-day anymore, Nick has been running the day-to-day since 2011. We're going to talk about that in another episode, by the way, because I don't think a lot of people realize that. I've been talking about that various places with all the Riley stuff that's been going on. But I mean, he's he wants to win sooner rather than later. I know people don't believe that. Okay, he wants to win sooner rather than later. He's not in for an extended rebuild. Pat's 80. Okay,
Spo
so
doesn't
there
want to
ain't no
rebuild either.
Spo doesn't want to rebuild either. He's tired of this stuff. But there's also, I think, a shared recognition that this market, and you hit it on in the beginning, and then we'll get into this more on the other side of the break, does not tolerate extended rebuilds. They tune you out. They tune you out. And so we're going to talk about that on the other side of this. Before we do, I'll tell you about another sponsor. If you want to move to a place where maybe they're not going through a rebuild of any kind, you should use Cousins USA. And
And now it's time for Who's on the Move, sponsored by our friends over at Cousins USA Moving and Storage, family owned and operated since 1996. They can service both residential and commercial moves, whether you're going across town, across the state, across country, and even across the globe. They have a 15,000 square foot private warehouse in Lauderhill, Broward County. The number one priority for Cousins Moving is transparency and being honest with their customers. They have a very low turnover, with most of their movers working for them for over 10 years. So find them online at Cousins Moving on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or visit the website at www.cousinsusa.com/5RSN. They've got an exclusive offer through 5RSN. You get 5 free wardrobe boxes with your next move, so there's no need to pack your clothes away in suitcases. Just mention 5 reasons. And now, who's on the move?
All right, so let's pivot this a little bit of a different direction, because obviously we're not talking about a particular player that's on the move. At what you said, I don't know if we got specific on it. At what point do you think the Heat need to move out of, at the very least, mediocrity for the fan base to stay satisfied and engaged? How many years? Well, let's count this one, because this is a pretty brutal year overall. 2 more years of this.
Yeah, they need to be recognized as a contender, or I'll call them puncher shot contenders by 2027. That's all the time I have.
So 2020, the 26-27 season, or the 27-28 season?
Obviously I would like it to be the one sooner than the latter, but either, honestly, like, I think if you look at where they're at right now, they got their 30th win today on March 23rd. I don't know how many more wins they're going to get, like, to turn this into a contender, or even a, what I said, puncher's chance contender. I think it could take 2 full off seasons to get there. So, I mean, that there's certain things that can accelerate this. Like, there are multipliers in place, but we have to see how they play out, and we don't know yet.
I don't think the fans will tolerate anything short of being considered a top 4 potential team in the East by the 26-27 season.
Yeah, you could
And
be right.
I think the reason for that is there's going to be so much conversation about the 26 free agent class that this really has to be on the fly now. Like, you need to get development from your young players. We didn't get it from Jaquez this year. Jovic's season basically cut short. Saw today, or Spo said he's going to be evaluated now. It's already 4 weeks. Okay, so this was supposedly like a 6-week injury.
They sacrificed flexibility when they acquired Wiggins and Slow-Mo to a degree for 2026. So we have to also think about, like, what does that mean? Does it mean that they have to go after the player in advance of their free agency and use an expiring contract? It's interesting.
Well, and that's why I'm saying, like, but it's been hyped so much about 26. And then I saw, I don't know if it came out of Barry's report today, but kind of walking that back because of some of the contracts that are in there. And I think that's the new CBA has caused a lot of this, and the way it's been reported has caused a lot of this. But what tends to happen is we keep looking for these markers where the Heat can kind of get well, right? And then it's like, oh shit, they can't. They don't have the picks for it, or now they've had to, because to execute some other trade, because the Jimmy thing blew up, now they've had to take money into 26-27, right? Or they had to give away a pick to get rid of this player, and now the Rozier pick. And so it's like we keep looking at, and now, okay, now you're going to get that pick, and then people are like, well, you can do this. Well, no, now you can't, because you got to give away giving away picks in 26 and 28. And so, and then you can't trade these other picks because the Stepien rule. And we're going to end. It's been this cycle, I think, of frustration for Heat fans, just caused by reality. It's not even always things that the front office has gotten wrong. It's just like,
no,
we start to hype the next thing. Oh, maybe it's Mitchell, maybe it's Durant, maybe it's this, maybe it's not. Fault. It's our, and then I love Barry to death, okay, and I do. I mean, I think he's the best guy doing this in terms of covering all sports in South Florida. And if the Herald ever wants to go bankrupt for good, Barry, you can take the whole network, okay? It's all yours. But Barry plays a large role in this, because he is so detail oriented about what he reports, but it's always kind of looking to the next step of what they could do, and then the next article is this is why they can't do it. And
Yeah.
I think this is driving the fan base absolutely nuts. And I don't even know if he wrote the piece today about what they can't do now. They have to maybe adjust to 26, 27. But I saw it aggregated somewhere, and I'm like, that had to have been a Barry piece because that's the direction this is going.
They
I
need Spurs lottery luck, Ethan. They need it right now.
Okay, but then if you're going to say that, then you're making the argument that you want them to keep losing, not get out of the play-in this year, and give themselves a chance to do that.
At
And
this point,
you and I both know they're not going to get that lottery luck because they never do. And that may be purely luck, but they have never once. And I don't know, maybe they did prior to Riley. I don't remember. They've changed the lottery rules so many times in the NBA. I don't know. I can't under Riley, they've never moved up in the lottery, right? Never.
that sounds right to me. Yes, because the Beasley thing, they were supposed to be one.
Right. And the Bulls went up from 9 to 1. Was that right?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh,
But that's what they need to happen. They need that.
they need it, but you're like relying on ping pong balls, and we know
Of
that the ping
course,
pong balls, for whatever reason, never bounce their way. And I know that's stupid. Okay, that doesn't make any sense that I would be saying there's some kind of a trend there, but there's been a trend there. I don't know. Orlando and Cleveland keep getting the guy who played so well for the Heat the other night, Wiggins. Cleveland, they how many times did Cleveland have number one pick? They had number one pick for LeBron, they had number one pick for Wiggins, they had number one pick for Anthony Bennett. Orlando over and over, right?
it's
Shaq,
whoever the league
etc.
feels sorry for, and they're never going to feel sorry for the Heat.
Right, that's right.
That's our
It'll go to the Heat.
conspiracy theory of the night segment.
That's right. They go to the Heat. They're not going to have it at all. Okay, you can't have it. We're going to give it to somebody else. But I think where you and I are is about the same position. We wanted to get to this topic a little bit, and just have the fans think about it. So we'll ask this question. You can answer us on Off the Floor on Discord. If you have your own opinion, how long are you willing to wait for them to get themselves back in contention? And by contention, I mean being a serious threat for home court in the Eastern Conference. I think then you're at least in position to do something. When do you think they'll be one of those teams again? Not when do you think? How long are you going to willing to wait for it? Because some Heat fans are like, "Oh, lose this, lose this, lose this. Take a step back, develop the young players." Are you prepared for what that looks like, or are you just going to become Panther fans? I mean, because
Are you
this
really
market.
loyal? That's the question we're asking.
How loyal are you? All right. Thanks for listening. We'll have more episodes coming up. A lot of Jimmy focus over the next couple days. I wanted to focus on this team. We've got a bunch of other episodes lined up, believe it or not. We're going to talk succession plan on one of these episodes. We really haven't done that. Also, we've talked about doing all-time defensive team for Miami history. That'll probably wait a little bit now, but we want to get into one topic we definitely want to get into, and I'll probably bring on Alex Brady for this one, is why have so many on the roster regressed when that has not happened in many Heat seasons. Anyway, have a good day, everybody.